A man goes for a walk in the park. On his walk, he sees two men sitting on a park bench and looking very down. Park benches, you say? Two men are sitting on a park bench when a stray dog comes along and sits down next to them. Then the dog starts licking its balls. The men watch for a moment and one says, "Gosh, I wish I could do that." The other says, "Well, you'd better pet him a little first." Another man goes for a walk in the park. On his walk, he sees three men sitting on a park bench and looking very down. Three nuns are sitting at a park bench when a man in a trench coat runs right up to them and opens it to flash his first two have a stroke. The third a lick. A farmer drove over to his neighbor's house and knocked on the door. "I love my job," exclaimed the farmer. "All you do is boss me around all day," complained one of his sheep. "What did you say?" challenged the farmer. The sheep glared back and growled. "You heard me." This could be the start of a smutty novel with Howard as the main character. Amazing. I've actually never heard that before and it is really funny. Good one. He just needs to be a little more sheepish about it. Good old 245. However, thanks for posting. It still brings a good chuckle. Good old no 8,427. Ha. A mathematician comes home at 3:00 a.m. and gets an earful from his wife. Ah, another math joke. It's about time. Ah, another timeless classic. Genuine question: where in the world do people say 11:45 instead of 11:45? Whoever made this up ought to get clocked. Boo-hiss bravo. Tee-hee-hee-hee. This joke is way ahead of its time. Probably just missed the milkman. I read this in Sheldon's voice, but the whole wife thing ruined that comparison. The English teacher yelled at her about your Hess still late. Despite the verbal gymnastics. This joke is right on time. Jokes like this get me all wound up. After months of scrimping and bargain hunting, a woman begged her husband for more money. "Can't you just give me an extra $10 so I can buy a roast?" Got the roast with extra stuffing. Clearly, the husband didn't realize the stakes were that should never let a butcher meet your wife. I thought she was going to give him the mirror at dinner. You can get a good look at your butcher by sticking your head up a bull's ass. A girl's gotta do. Guess it's a good thing she didn't need anything from the baker. There's a medieval Italian story a bit like that. It actually happened, but I'm not sure. A beggar used to hang around all day in front of a delicatessen, just for the delicious smell of cooking. The shopkeeper got tired of this and sued him for stealing the smells. When the judge heard this, he took out 2 coins and clinked them together saying, "There's your payment." He even gave me a free sausage. Might as well move in with the butcher too. If the husband gives her the money, he gets to eat better. Why wouldn't he do that? Arabs don't ever serve us breakfast. I stayed in an Airbnb in Rockport, Maine, and the host put out a nice breakfast each morning. Hot muffins, coffee, juices. Don't give them get charged a breakfast fee and be required to buy eggs, bacon and make it yourself. They serve air. It's in the name. Someone watched the new Mike Birbiglia special on Netflix. Stayed in one in Raleigh, North Carolina. They were retired caterers Airbnb-ing their basement had a bunch of dogs, cats, chickens and I believe a goat. They cooked us a full-fledged brunch the next had that since, but I typically book entire units anymore cause I like to have privacy anymore. But we'll never forget that spot. Class action be a rainmaker. I stayed at one in Nanaimo, BC that did. Only if you use it as an apartment. If you use it like rent a room, which was its real purpose, you can check if the host serves breakfast. An old man calls his son and says, "Listen, your mother and I are getting a divorce. 45 years of misery is enough." I love this joke. See it on here every year. Still funny. Take my upvote. Paragraphs can be your friend. Good old number 87. My turn to repost this next week. Op must not be American, nor am I, but missed a great opportunity to replace Christmas with Thanksgiving, to make it a unique joke. Nicely done. Now figure out how you can get them to pay for Christmas dinner while you're at it. Saying airfares instead of plane tickets shows commitment. Lol. Here, an upvote. Posted for the 20,000th time. Should have said Thanksgiving, make it timely. Close the damn quotation marks, will ya? Repost for the umpteenth time. A joke for some, but if you have boomer parents, it may be reality. 2 hunters are lost in the woods. I heard this one a while ago but still makes me chuckle. Those guys are so dumb. They can just pick the arrows back up when they land. Lamau. 2 hunters are out in the woods when one of them collapses. He's not breathing and his eyes are glazed, so his friend calls 911. "My friend is dead, what should I do?" The operator replies, "Calm down, sir. I can help. First make sure that he's dead." There's a silence, then a loud bang. Back on the phone, the guy says, "Okay, now what?" 2 hikers are walking in the forest when they see an angry grizzly approaching them. One of them starts to quickly tighten his shoelaces. "You moron," says one of them. "You can't outrun a grizzly." "I don't have to outrun the grizzly," says the other. "I just have to outrun you." Spoiled kids, What was your reality checks? Father died and gave his inheritance to his 25-yo GF. When I mistreated someone I cared about and they actually followed through with cutting me out of their life. My mom got seriously ill in cancer and ended up in the ICU for 5 months. I had to get my shit together real quick now that she couldn't fix my messes anymore. Joining the workforce. Very first day of my first job I was like, oh shit, this is what everyone was complaining about. When my father died, I suddenly went into protective mode for my mother and younger siblings. My mom had always been a shaman, although we had an amazing support system from her family. Emotionally I was not equipped for such a loss. My younger brother also switched majors, quit partying and cutting class and started a very successful business. The sense of responsibility was overwhelming. Having kids is so common that we don't think about how crazy it is. The craziest thing is that they let you leave the hospital with your newborn. Like, you're trusting me with this? Quite intimidating. Honey, I think it's time I grow a whole extra set of bones, eyeballs and organs inside of my body. Oh my god, we're going to be so happy. Your sister will be jealous. Yeah, you slap your genes together and then the resulting cell divides and later a whole fucking human comes out of someone's literal ass. Insane. Having kids is so expected that you are considered weird if you don't want them. And what's the deal with airline peanuts? Ripping a soul out of the darkness and thrusting it into the light. Love you gesture. I thought about how crazy it is and elected not to have any. I think about it quite often, actually. That's why I don't have any. How about eating? You ever think about that? Step through it in your mind. Be the food. I was working in an ice cream shop and we ran out of vanilla ice cream. Which letter is the M in amazing? The second. And which letter is the F in vanilla? There is no F in vanilla. That's exactly what I've been trying to say. At least, that's the British version. Got any nails? Good old-fashioned 693. Can I just lick the tray? Love that one. Mine's similar. How many F's in money? I was asked. I gave the correct answer. There's no F in money. Joke ruined. They ran out of chocolate. Then it's, can you spell the van in vanilla ice cream and the straw in strawberry ice cream? Supposed to told with a can of peas in a grocery store. Is your refrigerator running? What if my toilet is? The instructions on my new refrigerator says stand upright for 12 hours before using. I'm still standing but I'm desperate to sit down for a rest. I haven't even refrigerated. I can't even think about doing it again. Nah. The refrigerator is alright, but the freezer's cooler. This made me lol. You can tell what political party it is by the footprints in the butter. No, but my nose is running so it's cold enough in here. I'm sure voting for a fridge or a toilet would be preferable to voting for Trump or any of the fools in the UK government. Better go catch it. Are you ran out of toilet papers? If yes, call 911. Go catch it. People who don't lock their doors at night feel safer than people who do lock their doors at night. You are welcome to come inside, but the Doberman and Saint Bernard might have some words for you. I lock my doors but not out of safety. I've got a number of extended family members who would happily just let themselves in as if it's their house and make themselves a cup of tea while I sleep, etc. So they're locked for my sanity and privacy more than safety. What I wouldn't give to feel that secure, which is why feeling safe is less important than being safe. People who don't wear seatbelts feel safer than those who do. Doesn't mean they are. If somebody wants to come clear some of this shit out of here, I don't want to get in the way. I just forgot to lock the door when I came back in. Till the Dominican Republic launched the genocide of Haitians living on the two countries' frontiers. They identified Haitians from their own populace by making suspects pronounce parsley, or perejil in Spanish. If they could not do this, they were deemed Haitian and murdered. Similar to when Americans in the Pacific used passwords like Lollapalooza, a very hard word for a Japanese man to pronounce. That kind of test is known as a shibboleth. Interestingly, the Dominican Independence Day, February 27th for the curious, celebrates Dominican independence from Haiti, not from Spain. In a similar manner, the Danish resistance movement under World War II picked out German spies by having them pronounce the tongue twister Rodgrod Medflowed red porridge with cream. It is deemed impossible to learn perfectly by foreigners, even fellow Scandinavians. Till an outlaw isn't just any criminal. Instead, an outlaw is someone who has been sentenced to be outside of the law's protection. They don't have the right to a trial and anyone can kill or persecute them. In Norway, back in the days, they were dubbed Fredløs or without peace. And anyone could kill them if they wanted. The German word is bird-free. A famous example was Martin Luther. In contrast to an in-law, who you're not allowed to kill. I think the US doesn't have outlaws in that manner, still use the term, just with a different meaning. So an outlaw is a condemned man wanted dead or alive? This helps contextual the word a lot, especially when I'm playing RDR2 LOL. Is this still a thing? I didn't find anything in the Wikipedia. Could I still be sentenced to outlaw? Literally just talked about this in class an hour ago. WTF. Till as a teenager, noted skeptic James Randi found a pastor who claimed he could read minds. After performing the same cold reading trick on the parishioners, the pastor's wife called police who then jailed him. My favorite one is when he busted one of those televangelists who claimed they could talk to God for their big sermons, and could say things about the audience members, and Randy said turns out God's frequency is 39.17 MHz. My favorite part of that article is how people called him a fraud, saying he really does have psychic abilities, but was trying to claim he does not. This wording is extremely confusing. You mean Randy was arrested, not the pastor? Penn used to do cold reads as part of the Vegas stage show. He sacrificed a lot to fight fraudsters. Penn Teller apparently supported him in the years before his death when ongoing legal battles left him destitute. Op should be jailed for this poorly written subject title. Till of La Nueva Jerusalem, a community of fundamentalist Catholic doomsday cultists that run a tiny Mexican town with fear. They ban members from having sex with exceptions, modern tech, and are in conflict with the town's non-believers. In 2012, they gained notoriety for destroying a public school. God, that's horrifying. They ban members from having sex with tea. It's funny how, in every cult on earth, this one exception is that the leader gets to have sex with all the teenage girls. Why do we never get religions that embrace progress, use acceptance instead of bans fear, and encourage their members to have a healthy view of sexuality? Why is that just not a thing? No sex, since they don't want to have kids with the pending like a self-solving problem, and the other townspeople will be able to reclaim their home eventually. Our title goer, Christian terrorists. Cult's gonna cult. I never have sex with exceptions anyway. Till of the hippie trail, when thousands of Western hippies traveled the Silk Road by bus, car, van, motorcycle, or hitchhiking, mingling with locals in Afghanistan in the entire Silk Road in the 1960s-70s, officially ending in 1979 when the Afghanistan war started. A buddy of mine did that back in the 70s. He caught tuberculosis while smoking opium with the locals in Afghanistan. That reminds me that I need to ask him about more of his travel stories. I am blown away by the photos of this period and the fact that I've never heard of it. The trail, or one entrance of it, started in Istanbul at the legendary pudding shop, which is still there. BTW. This scene is probably the backdrop for Midnight Express, but don't take my word for it. I couldn't finish watching that movie. Usually in a fried out combi. My mom did this, toured on a magic bus with no brakes. Till that Machu Picchu, the Incan citadel in Peru, is not ancient. It's only about 600 years old, the same age as many European Renaissance buildings. This reminds me about when I learned that when the Inca Empire was founded, Oxford College, UK, was already 300 years old. Didn't teach any classes in calculus, as it hadn't been invented. Discovered? Yet, this is stuff Big Inca doesn't want you to know. Machu Picchu is famous because of its architecture, how it was constructed, its location, and its discovery, not so much for its age. And yet all the others have somehow kept managing to build it before me. It's not like new though. Till that South Koreans can be punished for using cannabis in a county where it's legal upon return to South Korea. It was the same way in South Dakota until recently. They called it possession by ingestion. The same applies with gambling. If they find out you gambled while out of the country, you'll be in some legal trouble. Same thing for Japanese. Essentially, Japanese law applies to Japanese citizens wherever they are in the world, is my understanding. No direct flights to Amsterdam, then better go Frankfurt and catch the train. The stigma against marijuana here is borderline fanatical. I told my Korean wife that when I'm older I'm planning on smoking again, and she lost her shit. Same thing when I brought it up among some middle-aged Koreans. Still that basketball star Magic Johnson claims that he invented the high five while at college in the 1970s. Needs to get in line. Dusty Baker invented that shit in 1208 BC. He would make outrageous claims like he invented the high five. Sometimes, he would accuse airballs of being lazy. The sort of general malaise that only the genius possess and the insane lament. My grandfather invented the Cobb salad and the phrase blank from hell, Elaine. I once told a woman that I coined the phrase pardon my French. George Costanza. Dusty Baker. Wrong. It was George Santos. He would often accuse chestnuts of being lazy, and claim he invented the question mark. Till Magic Johnson's an idiot. Hi. Klaus Heisler. My father would womanize, he would drink. He would make outrageous claims like he invented the question mark. I'm just gonna leave this here. Dusty Baker. Still that every Australian is entitled to a portrait of the reigning monarch paid for by the government. After the Queen died, there was a rush to get the last portraits of her before the Charles stock came in. Back in the early aughts, every Aussie voted in a national plebiscite whether they wanted universal rabbit fencing or a lifetime supply of Queen Mum glamour shots. Oh man, I didn't know this. I missed out on my Liz portrait all these years. I remember they used to have one hanging up in the governor's office in prisoner cell block H. Paid by the government. So, you still pay for it. Canadians can, too. As a Brit, I want a portrait. There's a black and white divide between the former British colonies that absolutely despise the monarchy and those that still like them. I wish Charles III a long reign full of embarrassing gaffes and regular fuck-ups. Seems like that's what it takes to wake people up from their silly fantasies about the monarchy. Till that in 1626, Peter Minuit is credited with purchasing Manhattan Island from Native Americans for just 60 Dutch guilders, equivalent to $1,143 in today's US dollars. They get you in the door with a bargain on Manhattan, and then they get you by driving up the prices on Brooklyn, Queens, and the island is in the discount bin. Given Dutch history would have been worse. A sum that, compounded at 4 annually, is around Manhattan's real estate value today. Put on your top hat, white feather, and tails. How much would $1,143 US dollars invested then be worth today? 3 mice are sitting in a bar in a pretty rough neighborhood late at night trying to impress each other about how tough they are. 2 mice are chewing on a film roll. One says, "I liked the book better." So nice to see one I've never seen here before. Even better, I never heard this one IRL before, either. It's amazing what went on behind the scenes on the set of Tom and Jerry. We will never know all of the disturbing and nefarious things that went down. I will never believe Tom took his own ink. It doesn't add up. The third one goes, "Haha, I'm the bus driver." What animal species is actually the most evil? Flies. It's the way they rub their hands together. I know they're plotting something diabolical, but I haven't figured it out yet. I'm surprised I haven't heard anything about chimpanzees considering how brutally violent and cruel they're known for being. I'm friends with a few guys who work at the zoo and I asked them once which animals were the biggest assholes. In unison, they all answered the sun bears. Bedbugs. Little fuckers won't die. Ever heard of the shrike? There has been a study to find what the most homicidal mammal is. The meerkat one, since 1 in 5 meerkats will be violently murdered by another meerkat. That's a significantly higher homicide rate than humans have. Meerkats will also have a really complex hierarchical society organized by mobs that kill each other sometimes for virtually no reason. Basically, Einstein was full of shit when he said that no mouse would ever construct a mousetrap. What company are you surprised still exists in 2023? Whoever is printing that Yellow Pages book and throwing it on my driveway. BlackBerry. Apparently they develop car software and cybersecurity products now. AOL. The car wash near my house that's down a dirt road. It's got to be a front for something. Radio Shack. I know they're almost gone, but honestly I expected them to be out of business over a decade ago, especially given all the former employee accounts of how poorly the average store was run. The Pinkerton Detective Agency. They're currently part of a larger security conglomerate, but these guys built their reputation on breaking strikes and generally being corporate thugs for hire 100 years ago or more. Family Video still has a location in my hometown, although they put up a sign about 6 months ago saying they sell CBD, so I think the end is near. What do you call the sexuality where you are attracted to men and women, but they're not attracted to you? Single. That's called being single. Fugly. Bisexual. I lold. You jerk. Here's your upvote. Andrew Tate. No more asexual? ALF. It's called ugly broke ass. Wiry post this the same day. You. What is the worst aggression that you could actually want for everyone and not yourself? Lone liners. Doc talk copy pasta. Lame. Body odor. Me. Celine Dion. It was supposed to be loneliness. What is the saddest song you've ever heard? The night my mama died, my dad sang Elvis Can't Help Falling in Love to her in the back seat of the car on the way to the ER. She died of fully metastatized pancreatic cancer 18 days after diagnosis. Nutshell. Alice in Chains. Bonnie Raitt. I Can't Make You Love Me. When She Loved Me from Toy Story 2. Little Talk. Spy of Monsters and husband of 35 years was just diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer, and that song just fills me with so much dread. My 10-year-old sang Remember Me from Coco at my father's funeral. The end of that movie was already an onion cutter, but now Sugar Skulls make me ugly cry. The Night We Met Lord Huron. Willie Nelson's rendition of Just Breathe. I Will Follow You Into the Dark by Death Cab for Cutie. Really can't listen to it without full-on sobbing. What isn't the flex many people think it is? Boasting about how much something they're wearing costs even though you know they can't afford it. Working yourself to the point of having absolutely no time for yourself. Work ethic is good, strong work ethic is great. Living to work is not great. Your lack of sleep. You're doing significant damage to your brain and self. Wearing designer with huge logos. Working 80 hours a week. Getting little to no sleep. Being proud about being brutally honest when they're just truth. Not taking sick days. Declaring yourself an alpha male. I guess that means something in your little subculture. But to the rest of us, that's just head-scratchingly silly. All their exes are crazy. I only got 4 hours of sleep. Oh yeah, well I got 2. Replying to someone on Twitter and mocking them for having no followers. How many times they went to jail and how big their car payments are. What's a random fact you're just waiting to bust out? Magnolia trees are so old they evolved before bees and are pollinated by beetles. If the earth is a grain of sand, the sun is a golf ball for relative size. The grain of sand Earth is 4 meters away from the golf ball sun. The next nearest star from the golf ball sun is 750 miles away. Gives you an idea of the scale of the universe. Ancient Egyptians didn't call themselves Egyptian, that's a later name, they called themselves Kemet, which in their tongue means black land. Black was seen as a good color in Egypt because it represents the Nile's fertile soil. Axolotls are actually a species of salamander stuck in a juvenile form due to a lack of thyroid-stimulating hormone. Their bodies don't produce it, but if given it as a drug or the precursors in a food source they'll grow up into salamanders. Vikings would give kittens to newlywed couples as a part of the household. A man takes his 7-year-old daughter to visit a castle. If I were the king, I would have a slide installed. Only saves the stairs down though. Your kid's going places, and by places, I mean at least the next floor up. Smart 7-year-old, I'm sure you're proud of her. Aw, smart and funny kid you got there, smiley face, cute. But she will never understand a dad joke. I'm the author of the Grokking courses for tech interviews, coding and system design. AMA, outside of maybe the phone companies, how often have you seen any relevance between the algorithm problems on a technical interview and the actual day-to-day job being interviewed? If it's not often, what would be a better method for companies to interview prospective developers? Is a working knowledge of Hindlines Works a prerequisite? Hey, I actually just bought your course yesterday. I had an interview and I was hit with a hard lead code question. Is that even fair? Should I be expected to answer a question like that? Hi Arslan. Thank you for this project. Do you have any books in progress? How do you feel about Mars? Your course helps hundreds of job-seeking engineers pretty much every day. Is there any sort of sentiment or nuance in the guide that you would want your readers, the next generation of developers, to understand going into their next role with the principles which you've laid out? Indiana Jones had an impressive travel budget for being on a teacher's salary. He was a tenured PhD professor at Marshall. Brother-in-law is a tenured PhD professor of Shakespearean English at a U.S. university, and every couple of years he goes on sabbatical to England for research on the universities, all the things that happen in the Indiana Jones movies. His traveling on his university's dime is the most realistic part. Grants from the university or other sources, because Indy had alternate forms of funding including government money, family money, and a little bit of black market artifact sales undoubtedly. He was a tenured professor at Marshall College, and the university funded his expeditions for artifacts for the state's branch of the National Museum. I just rewatched Lost Ark the other night. They do state that the American military is paying for his travel from the States to Cairo. People complain about high prices, but the real problem is low wages. Both of these are the real problem. This planet has, or rather had, a problem, which was this: most of the people living on it were unhappy for pretty much of the time. Many solutions were suggested for this problem, but most of these were largely concerned with the movements of small green pieces of paper, which is odd because on the whole it wasn't the small green pieces of paper that were unhappy. You know what? In team sports, you can do well by scoring and also by preventing the other team from scoring. Amounts to the same thing. This shower thought shows a complete lack of understanding of inflation. This isn't a shower thought. It's not even objectively true, it's an opinion. The problem is prices raising quickly, but exacerbated by wages not raising fast. Value of savings over time to illustrate the difference. Reddit: what is your favorite way to say you need to use the bathroom? My grandpa always said he was gonna go check the plumbing. Young kid me thought he really was. Gotta go see a man about a horse. Excuse me, I must facilitate the facilities. I'll be right back. I gotta go pee poo. Gotta go drop a propa ploppa. Gotta honk out a dirt snake. I gotta take the Browns to the Super Bowl. At work? Excuse me while I use the restroom. At home? Get the fuck out of my way or I'll shit on both of us. I swear to God. 2-inch grip on a 4-inch log and I'm losing the battle. Gotta drop the kids off at the pool. I need to use the bathroom. I gotta pay. I'm past the end of my third trimester. I need to give birth to it now. Something's knocking at my back door. I'll be back. Till US President Lyndon Johnson installed a shower in the White House that had the intensity of a firehouse and got so hot it regularly set off the fire alarms. One of Nixon's first acts as president was to have the shower torn out. As a firefighter, There is zero chance it had the pressure of a fire hose. 0. The commando weight it was used for hosing down elephants in the circus. Was this another thing to try and best foreign dignitaries with? Betcha can't stand in my boiling fire hose shower for 5 minutes? Wanna bet I can? Watch this commie. The more I hear about Johnson, the more I believe that his entire decision-making process boiled down to him asking himself, would an asshole do this? And if the answer was yes, then he would do it. Whatever you think about his politics or his personal morality, Johnson was certainly one of the most unique characters ever to occupy the White House. I, too, enjoy water pressure. Till about Darius McCollum, a man who was arrested 32 times for impersonating a transit worker. He commandeered hundreds of buses and subway trains over the course of 30 years, staying on route and schedule without being paid. He attended union meetings, even though he wasn't a member. Pretty sure him staying on schedule is what got him caught. No actual MTA worker would just hire the guy at that point. Although he never damaged any property or hurt anyone, he has spent 23 years in maximum security prison for transit-related security prison. Was that really necessary? I understand the severity of committing transit-related crimes, especially after 9/11, but this man has Asperger's syndrome. The American justice system couldn't demonstrate some leniency based on that? You kept making all the stops? Well, people kept ringing the bell. Till all the gold ever mined on Earth came from meteorites, not from the Earth's core. All gold was created in a supernova, regardless of how it arrived here. Like DoorDash for jewelry. I believe dinosaurs coveted gold so much they began to hoard all the gold and bury it so no one else could have it, thus leading to all of the gold being buried and no one having it. If we aren't careful, we'll soon end up the way of the dinosaurs and nuke ourselves out of existence over riches. All gold on and in Earth came from meteors. The Earth's core and mantle just hold gold that arrived earlier. Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that all the gold in California is in a bank in the middle of Beverly Hills in somebody else's name. Gold is created when two neutron stars collide. That's how rare it is. There could be some ounce of truth with this. There is one person out there who has traveled further than any human ever, and they are likely a living astronaut. A year in low Earth orbit on the ISS racks up 157,680,000 miles. Russian Gennady Podolka holds the record for the most total time in space at 878.48 days. The International Space Station orbits the Earth every 93 minutes with a circumference of 42,650 kilometers, each s 580 million kilometer traveled. I think the person with the most miles is more likely to be a commercial airplane pilot. It would be kind of cool to see airlines put out top 10 lists. I know some people would want to be listed as John Doe or Jane Doe still. It's probably a pilot. In terms of distance, that person is Jim Lovell. He shares that distinction with his two Apollo 13 crewmates Jack Swigert and Fred Hayes, who have both sadly passed away now. What cheese is made backwards? That's no good. I think shredded cheese should be banned in America. Great again. Brilliant. Cheese, why joke op? Our angry upvote. This was a crossword clue. Colby. Simon, that joke stinks. I like dairy jokes. SEHC. What bean is made with cheese and I like it? What disappeared from the world and no one noticed? Ronald McDonald? At some point he was just gone. Purchasing software. Now, it is more frequently a subscription model. Late night food options. A lot of places started closing early during COVID and never went back. All day McDonald's breakfast. Privacy. 3D television. Lightning bugs. I live in the South USA, and as a kid they were everywhere. Now when I'm outside during the summer, I don't see them at all. Movie trailers with that voiceover guy. In a world where DVD CD drives in laptops, the inquiry into the Panama Papers, 24/7 grocery stores, interior car armrests used to have these small 2x1 metal ashtrays with a lid you could flip up and down to fidget with on car rides. They were on airplanes too, and inevitably someone would stick a wad of gum inside. Toys in cereal boxes. What do you call a doctor that treats stupid people? Stupediatrician. A stupid califragilistus expiala doctor. A boob board certified idiotologist. I just call him doc. A dumb doc. I don't know, but he uses a hammer. Your doctor. A more oncologist. Drive. How do you know my doctor? Oh, someone who has Donald Trump as a patient. Cardiologist. I don't know, but my urologist is Dr. P. Stein. Idiot, Maryland. Did you get this one at the dermatologist's office? My doctor. What do you call a GP that graduated bottom of his class? Doctor. A doctor. A smoker, a verb? A Hudas Kutajiba intaker? A man of many aromas? A cousin to Cheech and Chong? I see the door. Playful face. Playful face. Sneering face. Zany face. A teacher. Psychologists. What is a fact that you only recently learned, but should have known for ages? In Super Mario Bros. On the NES, You can continue where you lost your last life by pressing a start on the main screen. Octopus predate dinosaurs. Human skin doesn't have the ability to sense water. We can only tell that something is wet because of temperature or wind, but we don't have the proper sensors for water itself. That's why sensory deprivation tanks with room temperature or barely warm water work so well, and why you can tell if clothing left out to dry is damp or if it's just I read that somewhere, it was a huge mindfuck. Now I think about it constantly. Until yesterday I thought blackened chicken was just that, chicken that had been grilled the fuck out. It's a delicious blend of spices. Oxen are just employed cows, not a whole separate species of bovine. What is the world's greatest unsolved mystery? The Indus script, also known as the Harappan script, produced by the Indus Valley Civilization. It was a huge civilization in northern India and Pakistan around 3300–1300 BC. It spanned more area than any other civilization at the time. Despite many attempts, the script has not yet been deciphered, but efforts are ongoing. Bronze Age collapse. Who was so vain that thought that song was about them and was correct? Would be pretty cool to know who Jack the Ripper was, or who killed the Black Dahlia, or whether the guy writing letters to the police as the Zodiac Killer was actually the one committing the murders. I'm putting my money on ancient aliens being the answer to all three. Aside from the big, existential questions, I'd like to know the whole story of D.B. Cooper. Where Shelley miscaviages, no one knows what Jesus was doing in the middle of his life. What is the worst scenario for the 2024 US election? Biden dies weeks before the election. Trump wins but has a heart attack on live television during his acceptance speech, and SVP is Kanye West. The earth instantly becomes completely stationary. Biden wins close electoral college, with a couple right-leaning swing states making the difference in his favor. Biden dies during the transition period, and those swing states try to change their electors rather than make Harris the president. Chaos ensues, etc. I win somehow. All I know is that I have a bad feeling about this. Whatever ends up happening will be the worst case, I'm sure. This entire post is nightmare fuel. George Santos? What slowly went away in the past decade that no one noticed? 3D logo designs have pretty much vanished. I don't know the exact time frame, but basically every single major company's logo has become minimalist over a very short period of time. Car antennas. You know what I mean. Product reviews that is not an affiliate link. Good Google search results. House phones. Magazine shops. The ones that sold obscure magazines that you can't get at Walmart or the grocery store or even a big box bookstore. I suppose people have noticed, but no one has their phone with a ringtone anymore. It's mostly silent or for some people still on vibrate. Decent quality clothes at affordable prices. Public pay telephones. Sucks for those in trouble that don't have a cell phone with battery life. And it also sucks for Superman when he wants to make a quick clothing change. What's a Karen's pronouns? This joke is unacceptable. I demand to speak to a manager. She doesn't know. She keeps asking, do you know who I am? This made me lol. I've been ill all day, and this was a good one. This one genuinely made me go hee hee. This joke is too good for our dad jokes. Mom for liberty. Me. She must have keeps asking, do you know who I am? Huh. I figured it was me. Mine. SHD starter. Just I. Nah. A Karen wouldn't dare to be called a them. A Karen's favorite number 911. Sue Denham is one of my favorite pseudonyms to use. Aye, sir. Manager, Carolyn Layton. I thought it was my mine. Entitled bitch size an English teacher. Trump's fault. Good one. I was about to give the R on Clayhook answer, then I saw that this was a dad joke. Her Sue. Did you make this up? It's totally hilarious. Good joke. I've never heard it before. Manager. You can tell if someone is computer literate if they have McAfee installed on their system. Support nightmare. I've rarely had viruses that were half as annoying as some of the antivirus apps out there. Also, I've rarely had a virus or malware. Is it just me, or when I delete McAfee it just gets re-downloaded when I update my computer? This post made me almost snort liquid through my nose. Bravo. Windows Defender plus the occasional Malwarebytes scan is all I need. That would point to illiteracy. You can tell if someone is into computers if they have more stories about John McAfee than McAfee antivirus. Rest in peace, you crazy old bastard. That's the virus in your computer. Any antivirus that constantly runs in the background is awful. The only thing I'm willing to give somebody slack for is Windows Defender if they're on Windows. You pay 30 of your income just to stay out of prison. You pay 30 of your income to pay for all the logistics and infrastructure that you need to live in a functional society. You don't go to prison. You pay more money. Funny how that works. Just? I don't think so. Don't use any public infrastructure then? The primary reason I pay my taxes is because the programs they fund have saved my. They don't throw you in jail the moment you don't pay your taxes. They actually give a ton of leeway on that. You don't know what taxes are for. And to other people in prison, Also have roads, education, research grants, public transport facilities, new laws and regulations, etc. etc. Kind of gross that we don't wash the inside of our shoes. Isn't that what socks are for? Speak for yourself, nasty. Lysol works when needed. Hold up, you all don't do this? I throw them in the laundry as a load and that seems to do the trick. Socks doing the heavy lifting. Do you not wear clean socks? I'm more bothered by shoes worn indoors. Don't feel bad by the comments. I also don't wash the insane of my tea. Overthink germs. It will drive you crazy. Put them in the washing machine. I'll chalk it up to cultural differences so I won't be mean. You're correct, Hop. That's why you should start washing the inside of your shoes too, not as often as the outside, but do it once in a while. I wash the insoles and blast the inside of the shoes with antibacterial Febreze. I exclusively only wear shoes with socks and wear slippers inside so that my socks are clean whenever I put on a shoe, so socks just solve the problem. For men, what's the hottest thing said to you during dirty talk? Not even that dirty, but just as I was getting busy with a girl I'd known for years and never done anything with up to that point, she said, "I've wanted this for so long." And with that line she shortened my performance to about 60 seconds. I have no idea it was Portuguese and she was screaming it. She looked back during doggy with this wild look in her eyes and said, "Do whatever you want with me." My ex used to say in this really seductive voice, "Come for me." Fill me up after she would finish, and it worked every time. Now I have trouble coming with anyone else. Upside down face. In the middle of getting a blowjob from my ex once, she took me out of her mouth, looked up at me, and told me to fuck her mouth. I still think about that sometimes. I bought a high-priced calculator to do multiplication, but I only used it once. A dad joke, and a math joke. Perfection. At least you weren't being divisive. Next time before you buy, consider all the factors. Retired math teacher here, waving hand. I would have loved to have had this joke while I was teaching. I would have multiplied its usage exponentially over the years. Smiley face. Was the one use of the calculator to calculate the cost of the calculator? Because that would be meta. Stupid squared confusion cube yen. I guess times have changed. You should post this in X. Grew 10 million. After adding up all the replies, I have come to a calculated conclusion. 1 high-priced calculator, none. Intentionally losing in rock, paper, scissors is as difficult as winning it. Always use paper and they will figure it out before long. Just announce your next move. I hosted a RPS tournament in college, and as hard as it is to believe, there were a few people that had viable strategies. Your average Joe won't, but it's possible to be good in RPS. Most people are just playing as they go. Though, I just do rock every time. I always win because people try to get in my head and anticipate my strategy. Good old rock. Nothing beats that. I announce my moves and usually win. Then I get to say it pays to be honest. No? Just keep throwing the same sign over and over again. Were you trying for the anti-luck run in CGP Grace game? I 100 of the time inform my opponent that I always use rock and then proceed to use rock. It still wins sometimes. It's clean, expensive housekeeper. Did you once score 4 touchdowns in a single game for Pol Kai? Then the priest says to the nun, "Sister, what is a blowjob?" She replies, $20, same as in town. A very good-looking woman comes up to me in a bar. She whispers in my ear, "I'll do anything you want for $50. I replied, $50? Fuck, paint my house. Paragraphs can be your friend. You look a little lonely. I thought this was going to turn into ain't no rest for the wicked joke when I read that part. Better would have been better to get your car washed. Prostitute came up to me and said $200 and I'll do whatever you want. Guess who's getting his house painted today? It's cheaper than dry cleaning. Things, not some things. No apostrophe. She said a blowjob was $20. So I had her blow up 100 balloons for my niece's party. Buy a newspaper? Metal detectors are popular at the beach not because there's tons of treasure, but because you're allowed to dig there. People are more likely to lose coins or jewelry there than a lot of other places. To be fair, when people are swimming and getting knocked around by the tides, it tends to make people lose jewelry and whatnot. It's not just that you are allowed to dig there. It's easy. There's also not a bunch of pipes and other underground infrastructure stuff that would set off a metal detector at the beach. There is tons of treasure. People lose stuff in the sand all the time. Plus things tend to settle at a specific depth, at certain spots. I lived next to the beach for a couple years. As soon as the sun went down, you would see people with flashlights and metal detectors come out. It has to be worth it for people to do it every night. Check before you do. Lot of beaches don't allow it. Those greedy cities hoarding all the treasure. Apparently my dad just asked my mom for a metal detector for Christmas. Till 1 out of every 50 people in the US has an unruptured brain aneurysm. New fear unlocked. When I was in college, I had a friend pass away suddenly because of one of these. These things terrify me. I heard this when I was taking my first patho class in college. My professor said something along the lines of you could drop dead due to an undiagnosed brain aneurysm at any moment in the most college professor's boring tone I've ever heard, and it stayed with me. My three biggest fears are alligators, crocodiles, and brain aneurysms. Wouldn't these show up in a brain MRI? Sleep well, everyone. My friend almost died from one. Thankfully his wife hadn't left for work yet or he'd be a goner. Fast 911 call and ambulance saved his life. So you're saying there's a chance? Till Alaska is so large and deserted, it has the equivalent population density of 16 people living in Manhattan. The other side of the coin is that if Alaska were as densely populated as Manhattan, there'd be 48.5 billion people living there. You wouldn't think it was deserted if you'd ever been there and seen the size of the mosquitoes. Alaska is so large, if divided in half and established each as a state, Texas would be the third largest state. 16 people and how many bears? It's not deserted because nobody deserted it, rather it is largely uninhabited. To be fair, Manhattan is not that big, only about 23 square miles. How'd you know I love population density trivia? Sounds good to me. Either Manhattan is bigger than I thought or Alaska is more densely populated than I thought. We like it like that. Till, I'm moving to Alaska. I live in NYC. Still too dense if you ask me. Till the blood-stained pink Chanel suit of Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy wore in JFK's assassination remains uncleaned and is currently stored inside a climate-controlled vault in the National Archives and will remain out of public view until at least 2103. My late mother-in-law was a 20-something intern at the archives. She unwaveringly told of the day Mrs. Kennedy and an assistant arrived with the suit in a large dress box. For 30 years she told the story the same much was true. One detail she never missed was that in the little glimpse the staff got of it, there was no hat in the box. I'm surprised Kim Kardashian hasn't tried to get it on. I guess it would be interesting to see, but reading Rainbow taught me how to use my imagination, so I'm pretty sure I know what that suit would look like with some bloodstains. Thanks LeVar. Remind me 80 years. Till there are more than 300 types of headaches, but only about 10 of headaches have a known cause. The brain tissue and the skull are never responsible since they don't have nerves that register pain. 90 of headaches are caused by other people. I have hemicrania continua. I've had one continuous headache since August 2015. What could be the cause of a headache that develops after a nap? But how come headaches also usually go away after sleeping? A lot of them are caused by vascular dilation, but I don't really know how that translates to pain. That's why caffeine helps a lot of the time. It makes the vasculature constrict. Second-year podiatry student. Rest, stress, and dehydration, the three leading causes of neurological issues such as headaches, migraines, and seizures. Cluster headache. That's what I have. Confused face. Till about an energy drink sold in the 1920s that was water with flavorless radium, a highly radioactive element. Thousands like Evan Bayer suffered radium Jaguar warning. What I love about this incident is that Radauthor was very expensive. It was marketed to the well-off. Some people started selling knockoff Radauthor so the hoi polloi could get in on the fun. But the fake stuff was just water. So this is the rare situation where the poor folks fared better. Some Nuka-Cola shit right there. They also sold radium toothpaste because it killed bacteria which caused cavities. I've learned so much from citation needed. It's an absolute wonder we've managed to evolve to the point of idiocy we're in now. Give a man an energy drink and he'll be active for a man a radium-infused energy drink and he'll be active for the rest of his life. Okay, gore warning, but oh my fuck? The furniture store salesman told me, this sofa will seat 5 people without any problems. Finally, one of these jokes worth reading, but how many couch potatoes will it fit? The trick is to find 5 people with the same problems. At the jerk store. Sofa, the joke is okay. The 6th person, however. 5 people? That sounds so far away. Just imagining 5 people bogged down with problems all mingling talking about their problems on a big sofa. The only thing flat earthers have to fear. Flat earthers from every corner of the globe will appreciate this joke. This joke fell flat. I'll see you round. You have a well-rounded education. It's fear that will tear us apart. If only this joke could win a Golden Globe. I'd say that is debatably a circular argument. You have to have a big ball to tell that joke. Here I am thinking they just lost their marbles. Is globalization? I'm gonna roll with that conspiracy. Playful face. Edit BTW. Gotta say the comments section has got some well-rounded thinkers. Not that some of them fall flat, but hey, that's the curve. Flat Earth Society have members all over the globe. This one made me chuckle. I'll have to circumnavigate back to tell it to my husband later. Africa, Americas, Africa, Americas, Africa, Americas, Africa, Americas. I see good things for you on the horizon up. What are some clear signs that someone is failing at life? How far they have to look back to brag? If a 40-year-old talks about his high school life, that's a pretty good indicator. They're cold to the touch and have no pulse. Looking through this thread and seeing if any answers apply to you. Always complaining and never taking responsibility. They characterize everything as happening to them and don't take any initiative to change their situation. It's all relative. You can view someone as successful but they are a failure in their own eyes. And one person can look to be a failure but are proud of what they've done and are happy. Their Facebook profile lists, School of Hard Knocks for Education, continuously having kids that they do not want with a partner they despise. Haters are a real thing, but no one complaining about the haters on Facebook has a life that anyone is jealous about. Referring to themselves as an alpha male. What big celebrity story or occurrence do you suspect was secretly a publicity stunt? The whole Kardashian sex tape. Most successful grift in the modern era. Michael Jackson marrying Lisa Marie Presley. Hilaria Baldwin's accent. Pretty much every Tom Cruise marriage. Anything Snoop Dogg has done since the year 2000 lol. Troy McClure and Selma Bouvier. Tom Holland spoiling stuff. I get it. Kid's adorable, prone to being a cute dork. But there's no way his spoilers weren't planned lol. Kim Kardashian dating Pete Davidson was a publicity stunt that only Kim knew about. People may say Weird Al and Madonna, but those people don't understand what love is. Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn dating well after they filmed the breakup. Anything Jada Pinkett Smith tries to say. What do you call three pyramids next to each other? As a LoL player, I'd prefer three pyramids on top of each other. That joke was on point. Larry Curly Moe. And the one ballet dancing is a pirouette. I stacked mine. I ended up with a pyrotop, pyramid and pyrabottom. A flock of Giza. Trip pyramid. Unamused face, speechless face. Pirate trips amid the desert. 8 pyramids are one pyramid. It's a pyrrolin. This one was funny. Tripod. I would have just called them speed bumps. Yes, Vegeta's forehead. What do you think about a law that bans honking, beeping or sirens on radio stations' commercials? Add screeching tires to the list. All for it. I've been in my boyfriend's car when one with a siren and both of us immediately started looking for a fire truck because there's 2 stations that run on this street. Fucking yes. Actually, that law exists in my country since most people listen to radio while driving. I honestly haven't thought about it because that law was passed back when I was too young to even consider driving. I personally freak out every time I hear such a commercial and I just can't take any more of them. That is one of the main reasons I don't want to listen to the radio anymore. I'm all for that. They also need to stop saying Alexa, or anything close to it in commercials. It keeps setting my device off. I can't even watch Schitt's Creek in the same room as my device. What instantly makes a person less attractive? Bad manners, poor hygiene and entitlement, belittling others in their absence. People will definitely assume that you do the same behind their back as well. Extreme self-obsession, bragging about your achievements 24/7, covering up your mistakes by senseless reasons. Toxic self-love and proving your stand better in every scenario is a huge turn-off. General meanness. If you make fun of someone's appearance, or in any other way belittle people, you're an ugly fucker no matter what you look like. Littering. Selfishness. Smoking meth. Bad hygiene. Thinking they're better than everyone around them. The worst. Sleeping with dead people. A bad attitude, whether arrogant, pushy, hateful. Poor attitudes make people look like jerks. Constantly interrupting conversation partners. What is a sentence you could both say during sex and Thanksgiving dinner? You rushed it in, now it's too dry. Just pick the legs up and stuff it in there. You've got a little something on your chin. I'm stuffed. I'm gonna unbutton my pants. Sabrina, don't just stare at it. Eat it. Why did you invite your racist uncle? Glad you invited your sister this time. I'm so full. I can't possibly take any more. Grab the bone and make a wish. Get your dick out of the cranberry sauce. If I put one more thing in me, I'll bust. If you're going to talk about religion or politics, I am not coming. Your mom's pie tastes could use a little more. Your sister coming? No, Dad. You sit over there. Aw boy, I sure do love stuffing. Thanks, Grandma. Stop hogging it all, Dad. Save some for me. Can I push your stool in, Grandma? That's a lot of rolls. This is so moist. So glad the whole family came. Cream pie. Is anyone else coming, or is that everyone? What is the scariest story you know to be completely true? My childhood friends took over a gas plant in Algeria, held the workers hostage and then killed 37 people and themselves. Link. Real scary guy I knew through a mutual friend once claimed he'd wait purposely to murder a rival of his in front of their children so that his legacy of treachery would be, then went on to do exactly that. Shot a man to death at the breakfast table in front of wife and kids. My dad got into a car crash head-on with a convertible with a young couple in it, and the top part of the convertible window decapitated them instantly. He ended up falling into something red, berries, blood. And when the cops and medics showed up, they were freaking out and telling him to lay down. He was actually fine. Witnessing that screwed him up though. What's the most disturbing vid there is? Internet rule: there is always something worse than what you just saw. Why did I click on this? I remember one video where apparently some schizophrenic guy thinks there's a camera in his eye, so he picks at his own eyeball trying to get the camera out. I'm fine with all kinds of gore except eyes. Saw it a few years ago and it stayed with ostrich, gets its head stuck in a fence and is trying to get free. It manages to rip its own head off in the attempt. The body runs off and the head remains lodged in the fence. The most disturbing video to me was the beheading video of Nick Berg 20 years ago. I found it in Kazaa after hearing about it in the news. The gurgling noises still haunts me. Pretty sure Daisy's destruction is by far the worst. I heard even other pedophiles said that it was too much and too far. Yo mama is so fat that if she could communicate with the dead, she turns into a warehouse when the moon is full. She's so fat I took a picture last Christmas and it's still printing. Yo mama so fat it takes 2 buses and a train for me to get on her good side. Yo mama so fat. In the Battle of the 5 Armies, she was 2 of them. Thine matriarch be so porcine. The Northwest Passage was discovered between the oceans of sweat in her neck folds. She's so fat. I know 3 fat people and she's 2 of them. I know I'm stealing it, just don't remember from where. Credits to the original author, whoever and wherever he is. Yo mama so fat that Gimli counts her as 2 deaths. She thinks gravy is a beverage. She's so fat she can fall out of bed on both sides. Her pronouns are Hershey. That's good. It used to be called a jumpoline, before your mama got in it. She's so fat, crumbs orbit her body and make rings. You can't angrily roll up an automatic window. Old school phones were great for angrily slamming down. I had a Jeep with a rusted out regulator, even touched the down switch and the glass just the shit out of a campus cop once. Chuck Norris can slam a revolving door. Y'all never do the slow auto roll with the middle finger up? Honestly sounds like a skill to practice your death stare. The hell you can't. You just scream as the window goes up, like Ace Ventura showing that the sliding glass door is soundproof. Tell that to my poor Switch. I got into an argument with a girlfriend inside of a tent. That's a bad place for an argument, because then I tried to walk out and slam the flap. How are you supposed to express your anger in this situation? Zipper it up really quick? Mitch Hedberg. First ask yourself, what kind of life are you leading that you need to angrily roll up a window? You weigh less when the ocean tide is in. You also weigh less at the top of a mountain. The moon's gravitational influence on your personal mass is equivalent to holding a watermelon over your head. The local density of the Earth affects your weight more than the position of the moon. The moon doesn't counter the Earth's gravitational pull, it only distorts it. That being said, what we call waves is just water constantly organizing itself to be perpendicular to the gravitational force in that place in time and space. No place will have the same gravitational pull, direction and distortion at 2 different moments in time. Can't wait, tell my doctor. Oh, that's just my pre-tide weight, by about 1/4 of a kilo for the average person. About an average shit.